Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff to talk about. We got more rumors, more leaks. Immortals is actually rumored. So here's the rumor, boys. Here's the rumor. Insanity is actually going to keep a spot in LCS. And honestly, I like that. People have been, up and down on players starting. And I think that this is like where people actually have to take the hit. It's weird because in off seasons, people were like, dude, everyone needs to use more NA talent, right? And then when you start going in there and you're like, okay, so what happens if we take NA talent over like one of these players that's established as really good? Then everyone always wants a player that's really good. But on a team like Immortals, I think it just makes sense to, like, if you're a lower tier team, why not use NA talent yourselves? Because that probably gives you a better chance of winning, especially if you're not able to legitimately contend for a title. So I think that's something that I'm happy to at least have heard. I don't think it's finalized yet, but that's looking like it's the option right now, which is interesting because I wonder what that roster is going to look like. I assume that it's not going to be a Lorem anymore. Maybe it is, but that's complete speculation on my part. When you look at the rest of the roster, like, I don't know who else you'd keep on it, to be honest. Like, if you're not gonna go with Xmithie, which Immortal says the rumor is that they're not going with Xmithie, how do you fill in that roster to make it competitive? Or do you just have like the hopeful NA team that probably gets 10th in the league, but could potentially end up doing well? What do you do with that roster? Dude, and then I've been hearing some weird rumors, dude, which I don't even want to like say these. I've seen like other people tweet this out, but I've actually heard from legitimate people that PerkZ is most likely leaving G2. And like the most likely places for him to go are C9 or Fnatic, which I don't like even believe, honestly. So when I hear these things, like, I'm just gonna put it with the disclaimer of like, I don't actually believe these rumors, but people, like, legitimate people have told me that Fnatic PerkZ or C9 PerkZ is a legitimate thing. Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be out there. I don't know, man. I just don't want to see the G2 roster break up yet. I feel like there's so much potential. Like, I just can't imagine C9 PerkZ or Fnatic PerkZ. I feel like it would be so weird. But, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You were being trolled? Yeah, I mean, like, I don't believe, like, the random rumors of people saying that. Like, the problem is, like, when I'm talking to, like, players and stuff, that is something that they're, like, legitimately saying is completely possible. It might just be time for PerkZ to get fucking paid. Who knows? Would it be more likely that he takes a split off? No. I mean, his value is, like, super, super high. So I guess for him, so I think that his contract with G2 is supposed to be one of the highest contracts in LEC, which I think is around 600 or 700,000. Apparently, if he used to change teams, people are offering him like double or maybe even triple that. Hasn't PerkZ said he doesn't want to play in an A? Yeah, a ton of people say that though, and then they end up playing in an A. That's the thing, is it's like cool to say you never are going to go to NA and be like, haha, NA dog shit. But then when somebody throws $2 million at your face, and then you're just like, wait, if I play 1 year in NA, I'm literally set for life. Your fucking like morals and your standards and whatever go way down when you see that type of fucking money thrown at you. So I've stopped believing in like people like ever since Fabivin came to NA. I mean, everyone remembers in season 5 there was the famous Fabivin clip where he's like, yo man, like I would never play in NA. 2 years later he's just like on clutch. It is what it is, man. Jensen got 4 mil, so PerkZ would be at least 6. Well, the thing about Jensen and PerkZ though, like Jensen PerkZ is obviously more valuable player than Jensen, right? But then Jensen's value increases based on the fact that he's a resident. So he doesn't take an import slot on your roster. And he's the best resident mid laner possible, right? The only person that he was compared with that was a resident mid laner that was really good within North America was Bjergsen. Bjergsen's gone. So Bjergsen going to coach actually increased Jensen's value a lot, because now it's like, dude, you can't build out rosters. Like, if you don't want to have an import mid, like, you don't, you need Jensen, pretty much. Like, who else are you going to get? Power of Evil next year will be resident. What are the other options? Froggen's the resident, technically now. Phoenix is a resident, but it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a big drop-off is my point. True, but 1.4 million seems excessive. Yeah, it definitely does seem excessive, but I mean, it is what it is. I think that right now, TL is going to be the team to beat in the offseason. I mean, just look at what their fucking roster is supposed to be. Now, the Santorin thing is not confirmed. Jensen is confirmed back to TL. Like, that shit is done. Like, I think he signed it either yesterday or the day before. That shit's done. Jensen's staying on TL. Core JJ still under contract. Tactical still under contract. Alfari rumored to be done as well. Santorin is the only one that's not done, which should be completing that team. But Alfari, Santorin, Jensen, Tactical, Core JJ, like that has to be the best roster coming in. That has to be the best roster, right? What could be a better roster than that out of what could possibly happen? I've heard BB is 100% gone, by the way. I heard he's like super gone from TSM, which is bad. Bad for me is how I see it. The only team I think could be competitive with TL is if the C9 perks thing actually happens. And then you have like rumored to be Fudge, Blabber, Perks, Sven, Vulcan. I feel like that roster could be better than it. But like outside of that possibility, I don't know. I mean, the other rosters look okay, right? Like let's say you have whatever native top laner you want. Let's say Licorice doesn't go to TSM. He ends up going to Golden Guardians, which is like, what are the... I hear the Golden Guardians is actually trying to spend money this year for the first time. Like, they actually feel like they can have a championship roster. Let's say you get like a Licorice, Closer, Niski, FBI, Huhi roster. That could be like a dark horse. The Evil Geniuses roster is a train wreck. It's a train wreck, man. They're building around Svenskeren, so it should be Svenskeren, Huni. And then they're in the bidding for Niski as well. If they don't get Niski, I think they're still going to go with Jizuke. So, I guess they could get an import support if they want. What I'm hearing is Johnson is actually the most likely option for EG, but Johnson is not finalized. He doesn't know where to go. All I know is Johnson is not on Dig. Like I've even spoken to like people around the team, and yeah, it's just Johnson is trying to upgrade his roster. Perks will not leave G2. I don't know, man. It kind of makes sense for him to leave G2 because I think he wants to play mid. Where's Impact? I have no idea. I don't know where Impact is. I haven't heard anything about rosters that he could be on. That could actually be an interesting angle for Golden Guardians, maybe. Because he's resident top laner, which is really valuable if any of these teams are going to have like Closer Niski, or if you're going to have like a team like TSM where you're most likely going to import mid and then you want like an import somewhere else on your team, maybe bot lane. Impact still has value, but I haven't heard anything. Also, like, I think Impact wants a fucking bag. He wants a lot of fucking money, so it's tough. I actually don't know how 100 Thieves is going to look either. We really have to see how it's going to go. So Sneaky is supposed to be joining Dignitas. It's supposed to be making his return, which I think that could be like a fun team, you know? Dardoch, Sneaky. If you can add some like young talent around that, like that could be a team that I wouldn't be completely like bottomed out on, I guess. What about Broxa? Broxa's fucked, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe he joins a bottom tier team, but I'm pretty sure he's fucked.
Excessive. Wasn't Patrick Mahomes signed for $550 million?
Yeah, but wait, Patrick Mahomes. Wait, hold on. Patrick Mahomes, didn't he win a championship recently? Smoothie rumors. I have not heard anything about Smoothie. I mean, the thing is, a lot of this. So you're gonna start getting your real information about like where people are going definitely in like mid-November, as soon as the contract or the trade deadline opens up, or once free agency actually starts. Because right now a lot of things are rumored, but that means that no contracts are actually in place. Like there's not a contract in place.
Can you give me
from
TSM TLDR?
Santorin and
Been
TL.
loving your content this year. Keep it up, man.
Thank you, man. What'd you say? Came late. Can you give your TSM TLDR? Been loving your content. Okay, so right now, what I've heard is that Biofrost is gone, Broken Blade is gone, Doublelift might be gone, and they're just looking to fill in that roster. Most likely top laner for likely top laner for TSM should be Licorice. So you should have Licorice, Spica, and then either they're going to keep Doublelift, import mid, import support, or they're looking at options of going with like up and coming mid laner. And then, like, so maybe even Evolved or something gets a chance to play. And then they would import bot lane in entirety. What I heard is that BB was staying. Now I hear that BB's gone. And that Doublelift might stay. And they're just going to see, like, what the best imports they can get. Mid and support are. So we can find these things out mid-November or whenever Lena streams with Doublelift. That was actually such a banger Thorin tweet, man. I love Thorin's Twitter. Sometimes he's just going off so hard. So once we reported like some of the roster moves that were rumored to happen, like so Doublelift started streaming and Thorin tweeted out, so we know some of the roster moves. Time to figure out what the rest are. And then he linked Doublelift's stream. I thought it was super good. Fucking witty. Respect. Do you know why BB is out of TSM? So apparently it's just that like they don't. The thing about TSM that you have to understand is TSM is a very rigid team when it comes to like coaching, how they perceive the game, how they want practice to go. Like, they're not a team that's fluid like G2, where they're like all based off feel and they're down to try something crazy, and if it doesn't work out, no one's gonna be pissed. Like TSM is the type of team where it's like right answer, wrong answer. Every situation that happens, right answer, wrong answer. And players like BB who like to take like really volatile trades, and like maybe he'll be able to take that volatile trade, and in his mind he can shape it into, hey, I can take this volatile trade, but if my jungler's topside, then it puts us in position where he's killable. Even if I slightly lose the trade, like it could be good for us on this side of the map. Or like, you know, I can win this all in if I just outplay him. Like, he's one of those players that will go for outplays, which is much more accepted from Eastern regions, specifically China. Not as much Korea, but specifically China. They're so willing to fight and try to outplay the enemy. And if they don't outplay the enemy, they can go back and be like, well, I'll just play better next time. And that's like a reasonable thing to have in a discussion. That's not a reasonable thing to have in a discussion in NA. Because NA is like, well, you don't have to, like, why are you going to risk potentially not outplaying him when we have, like, a higher percentage play somewhere else? Where at the end of the day, sure, like, you want to take as little risk as possible to win games, but when games are in 50-50 states, at some point, outplaying the enemy is what's going to give you a big advantage. And if everyone is just, like, playing safe and only going for, like, the 90% plays, I feel like your team is going to be very fucking slow in the end of the day. You're going to look like TL. So I just think that BB doesn't fit well with like the TSM philosophy. It's like the way that they always dealt with BB. I mean, there was a problem in the middle of the split. I guess I can talk about it now. There was a problem last split with Broken Blade specifically where, you know, they felt like he wasn't able to split push really well. You know, like, they're like, okay, he's good at, like, laning these split push champions, so he's good at laning things like, so at the time, there was, like, Soraka was OP top lane, right? And Broken Blade wanted to play Tryndamere as a counter to Soraka, which is a counter that we saw, like, even in LCK. I don't know if we saw it in LEC, but, you know, people were playing aggressive things into Soraka. Like, we saw Bwipo and Selfmade playing Pantheon Talia into Soraka and just like camping it, and there was a bunch of different like ways that you could actually abuse Soraka in lane. Tryndamere can just 100-0 dive Soraka, so yeah, that was just a matchup that they wanted to play. And apparently BB would like get leads on the Soraka in lane, but then he wouldn't like play the split push well. But TSM's philosophy when you can't do one of those things is like, all right, well, we have to drop the Tryndamere because you can't split push. Where I feel like that's such a weird mentality, because you can just teach someone how to split push better, or like inform the player, hey, this is like what you need to get better on, this is how we're going to try to work through it. Where it seems like NA is always like, well, you're just not good at this, so just don't do it, you know? Like, I don't feel like that's a way to improve overall, because if a player has a weakness with split pushing, what, you're just going to have your top laner never split push ever in any game? Like, it doesn't make sense. There's going to be times where you're going to need to split, even in situations where it's not as like Tryndamere has to split push all the time because the champion is fucking useless in like a 5v5 team fight, assuming the enemy team has CC and like he's not ridiculously ahead like you'd get in solo queue. But in a competitive game, like there's gonna be times where if you're playing a Jace matchup, which we saw Jace being played later on by TSM, they couldn't split push with Jace, and they didn't even build to be able to like split push ever. It's like you can go Muramana and things like that, Muramana Cleaver into a tank and actually have pressure on the side lane. They just end up like not really knowing how to like win through side at that point, which I just feel like is so like it's so annoying to me that that's actually how teams are still being coached in NA, where like if you're bad at something off the bat, it's like, okay, well, let's not waste everyone's time in practice. Like, you can't split push, so just like pick fucking Orin, bitch. Pick Orin, pick Aatrox, sit in the fucking side lane, do your job, come to the team fight, be relevant. Like, I don't know, there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture, and it's probably worth losing a couple weeks of LCS if you're actually going to improve your team and you're going to nail one of these concepts. I just think we give up on things way too easily. And if you look at how the playoff situation is as well, right? Dude, 8 teams are making playoffs. So you shouldn't even be that worried about like, no, we got to like all these games matter. Like we got to get one of the top spots. Like it's more important to just be good by the time playoff comes and actually be a versatile team. I mean, if they always feel like they're hurried to show good performances, it makes sense. I mean, this is literally what I just responded to though. I don't feel like you're hurried to show good performances, right? The goal is to be good by the time Worlds comes. The goal is to be good by the time that the World Championship arrives. If you're from NA, and you shouldn't feel hurried if 8 teams are making playoffs, bro. You can go 5-13 and make playoffs. You have time. It is okay. You can lose some games. It is an 18 playoff. that gives you more leeway. That gives you fucking more leeway. Anything for something? I haven't heard anything. I assume he's staying with 100 Thieves though. Jose Dioto was held back. Give him a chance. Yeah, he's definitely somebody who I would think has value. I don't know if I would put him directly into an LCS team. I would like want to slot him into Academy. So there's other rumors for Academy that I haven't even talked about. So Surenfire to C9 Academy is supposed to be like a thing that they're talking about. And Treats could potentially be going for either TSM Academy or C9 Academy as well. What else do you have? You have, well, I talked about the Niski Palafox thing, but yeah, like the Academy teams actually should be importing some of these players. I would love to see Jose Dioto and Academy competing versus people like Surenfire. Like, I feel like those people could move up quick, especially if Broxa ends up getting one of these contracts on a lesser team, or even players like Svenskeren. Like, I think Svenskeren is actually like has potential to be really good, but he also goes through like massive slumps. I liked the Svenskeren Blabber thing. I feel like Svenskeren played best when Blabber was under him compared to like when a player like Anda's under him where he doesn't really have to perform. Dom pretending Jack. Actually, I was not informed of the C9 rumors by C9. Like the Palafox Niski trade thing, like I'm not. Like, if they told me, I probably wouldn't leak any of this stuff, right? Or not leak, but I wouldn't discuss any of this stuff. Like, the Fudge thing, the Reign over coach thing, like, these were things that were already rumored, and I've heard from other parties, right? So, like the Niski Palafox thing, all these things come from the same place. That's why I'm confident saying them, where it's like I'm hearing them through the grapevine, so to speak. But yeah, Treats is like Academy forever. I think a lot of the things that count against Treats are like his age and the fact that he's an import. That's like the two worst parts for Treats. You know, he takes up an import slot, so you're not able to run a lot of the lanes. And then when you start comparing him against import supports, it's like, who are the import supports right now in LCS? Core JJ? Core JJ is a lot better than Treats, man. It's tough. Biggest import coming to an end. I mean, if that rumor ends up being true, like that would be the biggest one for sure, right?